Welcome back, listeners, to the Cosmic Confluence, the space where spiritual truths, self discovery, and multidimensional conversations flow together in sync. I'm your host, Sana, and today we are stepping into a topic that's both mystical and immensely practical: timeline creation. Sounds new, right? Now, if you have ever felt like you are living on autopilot, or wondering if there is a version of your life that holds more meaning, alignment, or peace, this episode is for you. And joining me today is the incredible Darlene Van de Grift. She's a medical intuitive, cosmic mediator, medium, and author with over 35 years of experience guiding people toward clarity in their health, relationships, purpose, and cosmic connection. Listeners, Darlene works with energies that span lifetimes and dimensions, helping people untangle what was, understand what is, and consciously create what can be. So, this isn't about manifesting a wish list. This is about co creating a conscious reality aligned with your soul's highest truth. So, let's quickly begin into this interesting, beautiful, soul nourishing conversation. So, darling, welcome to the show. And as always, it is an honor to have you with us.
Thank you, Sana. Thank you for having me, and I enjoy our conversations immensely.
Okay, darling, first question, of course, for me as well. When I read about this topic, what exactly is timeline creation? I mean, it sounds like a very rich concept. So, how would you define it, and how exactly does it contribute to conscious living?
Well, we're taught that, timelines or our past is our past and you can't change it,
Mhm.
just matter of fact. And what I've come to see and believe in and know is that that isn't true. When you go back to investigate a past life or a timeline, even within this timeline, right?
Okay.
The places that we have gotten stuck or wounded, whether it's in this timeline or another. When you go back and you face it, when you change the dynamics, when you express yourself because maybe you didn't back then, or you stop something from happening, or whatever that is, the power of the mind to
Mhm.
change the timeline through visualization, through sometimes acting it out. It really depends on where the your body is and your stuck place, if it really is stuck, like, how do you need to move through it? When you do that, it changes not only that time, it heals it, whether that's ancestral timelines, because we can work on that as well, or past lives, or even the timelines, like I said, in this timeline, when you move it, when you shift it, it allows that it allows that timeline to come forward in a very different way. And when you do that, your life here shifts
Mhm.
because the universe is reciprocal.
Mhm.
If you're willing to share something or change something that is bringing light to a certain topic or a certain timeline, a certain history that you've had, whether that's a long life or now, when you shine light on something and you heal it, it shifts because we're all one. It shifts everything in the universe. The quantum field shifts.
Mhm.
And in doing so, then you get the repercussions in a positive way here. And because the universe is reciprocal,
Mhm.
it's what you change in the field, what you change around yourself to be more healthy, to be more aligned, whatever that is, the universe gives back. So you get the repercussions in a positive way back in your life here in this timeline.
Sounds interesting, darling. So let's look at from the perspective of applying in our daily lives. So, for example, let's talk about ancestral trauma or generational trauma. Um, if I talk about from a personal perspective, sometimes generational trauma or events connected with our families or our previous generations, it can really create blockers for us to get out of. our comfort zone to take risks. It kind of can create risk aversion. And that kind of, keeps me caged in a box, uh,
Mhm.
that this is my limitation. So, how exactly timeline creation can help me get out of that zone?
Well, it's a co-creative process. So you have the intention that I want to unblock this. I want to find out first where is the blockage. I was just working with somebody that went back like 7, 8 generations of Viking time and unblocked what he considered a curse, and everything started to unravel. Um, his relationship with his brother became more full. His relationship with his sister started to move in another direction. There's a lot that he took charge of in changing and unraveling that what he considered was a curse, right? So it's moving the energy. I mean, basically, that's what you're doing. You're identifying the blockage. You're
Mhm.
seeing where it came from, who's involved. You're looking at what can I do about it, and then when you do the whatever is asked of you to do, uh, that could be physical, could be writing, it could be meditation. It really depends on what your spirit level and your body is asking for. When you move it, when you identify it and do something different with it, then something happens here.
Mm.
So you're not really blocked. We are not confined
Mhm.
in our ancestors, and whatever they have done. Our belief that we are keeps us in a box, but that belief is really not accurate.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And with this, of course, my next question will be that you often speak about how past lives and ancestral energies they influence our current timeline. Um, so some skeptics might say that why should we focus on the past? I mean, shouldn't we just be present and move forward? Just move on. That's kind of the general expression or phrase. So, how do you respond to this while still honoring the wisdom of what came before?
Well, we got here. Uh, we're
Mhm.
in our specific life right now because of who we have been and what's unfinished.
Mhm.
And, they say you can't run away from yourself because everywhere you go, you find you.
Yeah.
And that's true. So you carry the patterns, the beliefs, the unfinished business with us. Whether you want to go back and visit it again, but
Mhm.
it's about changing it. It's not about going back necessarily to relive it over and over again. That doesn't really do anything. That just keeps most people stuck because and fearful. Who wants to go back and relive abuse or any kind of torment that might have happened to you in a past life? It's not about that. It's really going back and changing it, and through like, people don't really realize the power of visualization. Even if you're not even if you don't consider yourself very visual, you
Mhm.
go back and you write it out or you feel it out of what that would have been like and whatever the scenario is, and you work through it. You're moving energy, and when you move energy, things change. Things
Mhm.
fall in place,
Yeah.
you know? And that's what we're doing. So, you have to go back, and I'll take a look at this particular time that we're
Mhm.
in. We are working through such an abundance of some of it's karma, but it's this accumulation. If you've been planted on this earth for 10 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, maybe even more than that. In the beginning, when karma was initiated, it was to help to balance, right? But you
Mhm.
get through 3, 4, 5 lifetimes where you were choosing to do something different that put harm on someone else, or maybe you made a mistake, or however you viewed what you've done where you can't forgive yourself because of that. By the time you try to figure that out on your 10th lifetime, it's gonna become way in the past. So we're living the accumulation of unhealthy choices,
Mhm.
and they're all coming into play because we are all evolving in this shift. The earth is evolving. Humanity is evolving. We're all individually evolving. And accountability is huge. So it surfaces, and a lot of times it looks like chaos, and it looks like, we're the end of the world and where people get very fearful. But if they look at it as a creative process, anybody that's an artist knows that there's always a time in any creation that it looks chaotic.
Mm.
It falls apart so
Yeah.
it can come together. And it's at that time that it falls apart that you keep plugging away. It's not about walking away from it or judging it or feeling bad about yourself or thinking that the world's gonna be, your piece of art, the world's gonna be condemned and, everybody's gonna die. It's about banding together in some way, pulling yourself together in some way that says, "Okay, I'm gonna do what it takes. I'm gonna do what it takes to be healthier and wiser and more kind and more human." And where does that take you?
And darling, does the place we are staying um, also affect this? Because I'll again give an example from my personal life that sometimes the place where our generations have lived, we were born into, we may have trauma there, and we are kind of stuck into living or staying in that place because of some reason, could be a job or anything apart from that. But every moment, every day, the energies around us, the people around us, they keep on reminding indirectly or directly about that trauma, and then we are again getting into that vicious loop of reliving that trauma. So does place affect us? Should we change places to make sure that we are creating a more creating a timeline with more self-awareness, which is healing for ourselves and making us healthy?
So you're talking about moving, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I think what's come up for me is that, when COVID hit, it was a global revelation of, oh my goodness, we can move
Mm.
and we don't have to be stuck in a 9 to 5. We could do this, we could do that. And we're trying to get reined back into what was normal when it's not. Humans are supposed to have more freedom than what they do right now. And moving is really important. And what I'm seeing recently in the last few months, like since November, is that people are moving like it's not just work related. They are being called to go to certain places. They are moving from Europe to New Zealand. They are moving from Costa Rica to Bali. They are, like they're moving across transversing the continents, right? And I do believe that we are being aligned through movement to get into the best place for us. It's not about the right place, but it's the best place for us because our shift and what's happening in our evolution, sometime in the fall, I think that there's gonna be another uptake, whatever that looks like, right? But we have to be then in a better location. One, because, like you said, our energy tends to match the trauma that is in a location, and unless you are clearing that, or you have a shaman, or you have an energy person that is helping to clear that, and you put yourself in a protection where you don't necessarily feel it, you don't bring it into your energy field. If that isn't happening, then the best thing to do is to find where your best location is.
Mm, agree, agree. That is beautifully put, darling. Okay, and talking about your work as a cosmic mediator and um, medium bridges very subtle realms. So, how does this guidance from these other dimensions influence the timelines we create in this life?
They are working with us, but they need an invitation. That's what I would say is
Mm.
the invisibles, the spirit beings, the guidance system that we all have, whether we know it or not, um, multidimensional parts of ourselves, multidimensional beings, whether they're in body or not. There there's many like-minded ones that are here to assist humanity, but
Mhm.
unless you either know that they exist, 1, and 2, invite them to be part of your life, your guidance system, your discernment, in some way, they can't step in. They have to be invited because this is a planet of choice, and they can't circumvent someone's choice, but if you say, "Hey, I know you exist, or I feel you, or I sense that, I'm a blessed person, and I'm sensing that, I've always had someone around me that felt like they were in invisible form, that felt like they really cared about me and helped me,
Mhm.
and and I like more help," or "I like this," or "Could you please address this?" It's the asking, and then it's developing the communication with that, and some people need tools because they're gonna feel crazy if they start talking to themselves or they think they're talking to themselves and they're asking and they don't know. They're gonna doubt first because that's all part of it, and that could be for years where you doubt the information that's coming in. So what I would suggest with people that are looking at developing a communication and relationship with themselves and other dimensions or their guidance system is to find tools, kinesiology, cards, runes, anything that feels like it resonates with you. And ask the questions. That's a way to start. Ask the questions and see what comes up in the tools while you're asking the questions of, okay, I need help with this and that. Or in meditation, you start the meditation and you breathe and you get into it, and then you ask something of your guidance system. Show me today what I don't know. Give me something that I can, because there's you can also demand. Like I have people that's the relationship. I demand today that I feel this way. I demand today that this happens. And a lot of times it does because your intention is strong. It's not about
Mhm.
the demanding, it's the intention. I need this to happen.
Wow, great, great, Darren. So, you say that you are, as you mentioned, what I can understand is we are not stuck, wrong, or incapable. You may only be a little lost. And that is really, really such a comforting truth. So, before we wrap up, what final words would you offer to someone who is ready to rewrite their story and they intend to step into a new timeline? What are the first steps they can take?
Well, I would clear because it's probably the easiest is to clear ancestral trauma if you know what it is.
Mhm.
While you're looking at how do you carry it and how does it relate? Because it may not be the same. Something could have happened 3 generations ago that you carry in a different way, but the frequency of it is the same. The vibration is the same, but it's not played out the same. So how do you carry it so you're at a footing of identification of what you're carrying from where? And then the next easiest thing is to move into your heart space or put your hand on your heart and do that Ho'opono to your ancestors. If you know that they've been punished or they've been tormented, they've been, wherever that that that's about, starved to death, confined, whatever the trauma has been, sexual abuse, anything, you go back to, and if you know their name, great, but if not, you know that my grandmother from way back then had this happen to her. You call her in, you call her spirit in, you call her energy in, because the field has it. The field has her energy. It's not gone just because she or he is not there. You call that energy in and you do that Ho'opono from your heart space. I am so sorry that this, whatever the detail is that happened to you. Please forgive me. And what that means is you are taking accountability as a spirit being for who you are, right? As a whole spirit being, that you didn't protect them, that you're sorry that you couldn't be there for them. It may not make sense because you're in this timeline and they're 300 years ago, but
Mhm.
what it does is it's moving something through you that you can take accountability for as if you were there. "I'm sorry that this happened, please forgive me for this, I love you. I love you dearly, and thank you. Thank you for being my ancestors. Thank you for putting up with all the turmoil that you had." And you wish them well. You send them energetically, spiritually to a better place because finally they're heard. Finally, you just did something that helped them heal and move on spiritually in the field, however you want to view it, but you give them freedom, and therefore you get freedom.
Mm. And what if our ancestors have done something wrong, and are kind of the generations have been going through the trauma of those wrongdoings? How do we get out of that?
It's the same process. A lot of it is then when you when you can forgive,
Yeah.
it's actually for forgiving you.
Mm, mm.
When your ancestors have done something wrong, and I will tell this to people too, if you've been abused or anything, it's not about forgiving the person because 'cause they're like, I can't forgive the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Am I a bad person because of that?" No, no. You need to neutralize what you carry about the abuse, but the big thing is how do you forgive yourself? Because that is the hardest thing. How do you forgive yourself for buying that? How do you forgive yourself for, um, being part of that ancestor, you know? How do you carry it in your body? How do you carry it forward with your children or in your relationships when there's that much specific, woundedness that maybe your ancestors participated in? How do you bring it into your life? Is it shame? If it's shame, then you need to forgive yourself for holding the shame. If it's
Mm.
anger, you need to forgive yourself for and change it. You
Yes,
don't need to hold it anymore, and you need to let them go.
absolutely. Well, darling, thank you. Thank you so much. This was really, really such soulful and really pragmatic conversation, because there's a lot of skepticism around this. So people think it's all kind of, woo woo or something which cannot be proved scientifically, but I absolutely believe in this, and I am very sure our listeners would also. Um, you have really reminded us that we are not at the mercy of fate. We are creators, co creators, artists, architects, and alchemists of our own timelines. So, if our listeners would like to connect with you, Darlene, how they can do that?
My website is soulunion.com, and they can reach me on there. That would be the best way to do it. I also run a once a month, 3rd Sunday of the month, I run a group called Cosmic Travelers. And, that's about we go into a neutral space of co-creation, and we work with multidimensionals personally with each person, as well as a collective in healing Earth and humanity.
Third Sunday of every month.
Yeah,
Great.
and that's on my website too.
Lovely. I'll make sure to have all the links and details mentioned in the show notes for our listeners. And once again, darling, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sana, and have a wonderful evening.
And to all of our listeners, if something stirred within you, well, definitely did within me, honor this. Journal about it, meditate on it, or simply sit in the quiet and ask what timeline I'm choosing right now. Until next time, stay aware, stay open, and as always, flow with the cosmic confluence along with us. Thank you.